Here we go.
Nice.
Okay, so this is a recap of session 2 because unfortunately, due to technical errors, we have actually lost session 2. This is going to be a bit more of a, like, as I said, behind the scenes, like a recap of what's going on, and obviously maybe have a chat with a couple of the characters, Tior and Zion, here as well, if we choose to later on. But they will also be here out of character to help recap the goings on of session 2. Again, we apologise. Hopefully this won't happen again in the future because I've now got the setup that's needed to keep the episodes and actually sort them properly. We did have a look for episode 2, but I am honestly at that point now where I have looked in every single place I can possibly think and I cannot find it. So I think just going to have it. Unfortunately, it has been lost to the ages.
Yeah.
So episode finished with, where did episode 1 finish? It finished with the group having just sort of got back to the city, not the city, the ruins, wasn't it?
They made their first burning body pile.
Yes, so they'd gone to the survivors, they'd found
Healed
the
everybody.
yeah, healed everyone, found some survivors, and that was where the next session was going to start. It did start there, and it was kind of all right. There wasn't any major issues or anything at the very start. It was pretty much they were exploring because there was a strange humming sound that was about. This humming sound was to such an extent that they could almost feel it within their bodies as the characters, and they weren't sure where it was coming from. They had a look around the town and it was pretty much empty aside from a room with a rug on it, and there was debris and everything everywhere aside from on the rug. So I think the party decided to investigate the rug after looking around everywhere. Oh, it looks like Radel will be joining us for our recap as well.
Which means they can read their own notes.
Which means they can read So we were going to use a mixture of my notes and Radel's notes, but Radel's notes are kept as if it's Radel's diary. So we are going to use Radel's notes, but this is kind of like a preview, I suppose, of what some of the extra content will be for those people who are higher level subscribers on Patreon once that is up and running. Because we are going to do behind the scenes, interviews with the characters, interviews with the players, thoughts on the sessions. We're also going to be answering some questions that you listeners would be asking us, hopefully. And then, we're also going to provide some short content, so say videos from the characters, and also information from the characters and things as well. So Radel's diary is probably going to be something that others will have access to at a later stage. But in this session, we are going to be reading as if it were their diary, with some DM notes in there as well. So hopefully we'll get everything covered that happened. It is a shame because the episode that we lost was quite an emotional episode. It was a big thing. It was first combat, and well, as you'll hear later on, there was an emotional event that took place.
Oh, definitely. It was definitely a trip.
It was. Yeah. It is a shame we lost it, but that's fine. The rest of the episodes have all, they've got good, meaningful things in it, but yeah. So I think they investigated the rug and found a trapdoor that led into a basement, and in this basement there were, in my notes, I've got 5 goblins. I think Zion, you said you remember it being 3 or something.
I could have sworn it was 3. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if you scaled it back because we were a lower level than you originally thought we were going to be, or
No, I knew you were going to be level 1. I think what probably happened was I planned for 5 and then I scaled it back because of things that happened.
okay.
Like, I think the only reason I would have scaled it back is if I thought the combat was a bit too brutal at that time, which it was quite brutal, let's be honest.
Yes. But since we're talking about socials and stuff that we're going to have, we do actually have a Instagram, a TikTok, a Twitter, an amino group, and a Tumblr that are starting to get up and running.
which have all very been nicely set up by Zion, just to give them the props for the effort of that. I tend to do all the like editing of the videos before they're posted and the recording of the videos, and Zion is currently our social media manager.
Yay!
Oh, and Toto is our artist, of course.
Yes.
Yay! I also might help with the Patreon setup if you want me to.
As I've said previously, like, I'm happy for you guys to help wherever you want to help. Any
Yay!
help is always appreciated, and probably better if people who are more savvy with it than me are doing it, because otherwise I'll mess it up somehow, and it won't be that good.
Yay!
So, Radel has joined us as well.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
There we go. Now that Radel's here, Radel can read Radel's notes.
Radel have to read Radel's notes. Totu's more likely to.
What? What do you mean by that?
I don't have them, so
I don't mean in character.
No.
Nay.
yeah,
I'm
I
just
have. So I was going to say I have said this like session is not really going to be in character. Just because it's not like a proper session, we're just doing a quick recap and going over a couple of other bits in like the campaign and stuff. I did have a thought that maybe we could cover the gods a bit in this video as well. Just
okay.
because I know we mentioned in video 1 which gods you had all picked as your patrons, but we didn't really give any information on the gods. We just kind of left it.
Oh yeah, there are a bunch of gods that simply do not exist for the people that don't know anything, which is everyone.
Pretty much.
Mhm.
So
Also,
yeah, I think we'll a cat. Yep.
I can't
But yeah,
download the message for day 2, so someone else will have to read that.
Oh.
What?
I can't download the message for day 2, and I don't have the notes on my phone.
Oh, I'll go ahead and read the day 2 ones then if you want. Because it's very easy for me to do that.
okay, so what was you said I've explained that you woke up the next day from your burning body pile thing that you had from the non-surviving people, and you had started investigating the ruins that you were in, like the town ruins that you were in. You'd come across like a rug in a house, but like where everything else was like fallen and debris, this rug appeared immaculate. So you decided to investigate the rug, and you found a trapdoor into a cave with. See, I thought it was 5 goblins, and that's what I've got in my notes. But Zion thinks it was 3, and I may have scaled it back due to events that occurred.
I do think that it was 3, if from what I remember,
3.
and we all know that my memory is a little shit, but from what I remember, it was 3 because it was. Wait, I shouldn't spoil.
Well, that's fine because they're going to need to know what happens anyway. But so
Oh,
I would
okay.
say it's probably going to be like it's going to be like 3 then, and so long as you're not dropping spoilers for episode 3 or anything past there, we are okay. And as I've explained, this will be this will be released on the same day as episode 3.
Okay. Oh dear, hold on.
So, yeah, you investigated and you found some goblins.
Okay. For Radel's point of view for day 2, because May can't download it from where they are right now, I'll go ahead and read it. But do remember this is Radel's point of view, so it's not like exactly what was recorded.
Yeah.
We woke in the ruins, a strange buzz in the air. I could almost feel it. The survivors had left sometime during the night. I don't blame them, but we had to press on. The group had collectively, almost unanimously,
Unanimously.
thank you, decided to seek
Words.
the source of the strange sound. Totu seemed to agree, so I reluctantly
Reluctantly.
Reluctantly.
agreed.
Do you want me
Swear.
to?
I swear I can read.
I can English, honestly.
We happened across a collapsed building containing a kitchen and a bedroom. The hum seemed to originate from there. Totu and the Black Linian pointed out a strangely clean rug. Underneath of it was a trapdoor, rather poorly hidden. A stairway led down to the basement, a dull glow emitting from within. A snickering, giggling sound could be heard from within. 5 goblins had taken residence in the ill-hidden basement. The Black Lydian immediately swiped at one with their claws, not providing the creature any chance to speak up for themselves. They probably weren't up to anything good, but at least they could have done was ask them a few questions. One creature glanced at its companions before swiping at the Black Linian with a dagger, but misses.
So
The
let's
creature seemed
pause there for a sec, just because these notes are brilliant. I love the perspective they're written from. But it is amusing that Raidle's basically turning around at the stage and being like, we should have questioned them first.
Well,
just,
yeah,
I
you should have.
Yeah, basically.
just like that viewpoint of like, but it was definitely 5 because they've written 5 in there.
In their notes. Mhm.
Yeah,
If I wrote 5, there were 5.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like
Well-
Raidle keeps notes as we go, which is why sometimes you'll notice there are pauses in the sessions. One, it's so that I can kind of think how to phrase things, but it's also to allow Raidle time to actually keep notes, because although everyone is keeping their own notes, Raidle has a notoriety for being the note taker in pretty much every other campaign they play.
They're not
I had-
forcing me, I swear.
I had the lovely experience of being a note taker recently, and I either do very poorly or try to write everything. So I don't think I'm good for that.
You did well. I think you were just probably trying to take down all of the information, and
Yes.
in trying to do so, it slowed you down a little bit, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've been note taker a few times, and obviously while I DM, I obviously do take my own notes, but because they're taken from my perspective, it's like I don't write a lot about it. I just write a general, this is what it is. Because if I find my notes, hang on, where did my notes go? Documents. So I know there's a point I have to stop on here because I remember we were reading through them the other day and we realised my notes, I included what happened in episode 3 as the note 2. And I think that's because I thought we were going to achieve more than we did. And there's a reason that the group didn't achieve as much as they should have achieved. This
You should. We don't talk about that.
Please don't talk about
Also, I'm glad I'm not the only person where that song immediately came into their head about that.
Yeah.
I just had Toto in the background there. We don't talk about Bruno, no. Yeah, so for my notes, just to clarify up to this point, I have session 2. You may find in the ruins of a town that had stood here before. Around you there is stones and dilapidated buildings that clearly have been this way for decades. Plants grow through the stones, reclaiming the land upon which this place was built. As you fully wake, you notice a strange buzz in the air. It is so much that you can almost physically feel it. You look around, and aside from the buildings, there is nothing. The survivors you helped yesterday seem to have left, and you are unsure in which direction they went. You remember the words of Terry asking you to investigate this town. And then I put, obviously, investigate the town and see if you can find the hum. You find a strange basement in one house. Enter the basement and find goblins, and you are in combat with the 5 goblins. So, would anyone like to continue reading Radal's notes?
Yeah, I'll continue.
Only one person has Ragel's notes.
Yeah,
One person can send them to other people.
Well, this is what I was thinking. I was like, you could send them to people, surely. Like,
And
well, since
to me,
Alyssa said I could do that, I'll do that.
Like I
this
do.
is also, I think, while these notes are being sent, can we, just so that people are aware of what we're calling people outside of session, Radal, what is your, online nickname of choice?
May.
Tior? And there was silence. That's their choice, just nothing.
I can't think of a nickname.
yeah.
I thought you had
yeah.
the nickname.
What do you want to, like, outside of sessions, what do you want to be known as?
I guess mosaic.
Okay.
Which just makes it complicated because it's very long, I guess.
Mosaic's fine.
It's not that long.
Toto.
The same letter as mine. Oh, hey, speaking of me. I am Spring.
Spring.
I think we
And
actually said that on the first session. I actually don't remember.
I don't think we went through, like, we sort of did, but not like as a proper. And Zion.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
You can call me Frost.
And you can all call me either DM or Okami.
Okay, so it doesn't actually want me to send it to people.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
Well, looks like
wonderful.
you're reading the notes then, doesn't it?
Well,
I
at
just-
least
I just
for
see-
day.
I just see 2 messages, and one of them is just #unknown, and then just dots. Ah, yes.
I can walk across the house and go read them if you want.
Are you currently building furniture again?
No.
Hey, that's kind of. Wait, no, that was on session 2 too, wasn't it?
I don't know. I just remember there was
Building the furniture.
yeah, but it's fine because so long as it's actual session spoilers, it like
Yeah.
we have some random conversations in between parts of our sessions,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is why I advertise it as more of like it's a D&D style podcast because it is a bit like a podcast, but we have an overall like idea in mind. It's not solely D&D, and it's not solely a podcast.
It's both, because if we tried to do one or the other, we couldn't.
We fail.
I
Yeah.
think we could maybe do like the D&D part of it, but I do think I would have to basically be like a like a teacher or something and keep you all in line, and just be like,
Definitely.
if we start
Says the
diverting,
one who diverts the most.
yeah, exactly, that would be the problem. I'd need one of you to be like the teacher, and if I start diverting, be like, back to the session. I also think that would take some of the
But
fun
I
out
like
of it,
how
because
yeah,
exactly.
I love
they wouldn't-
I love spending half of the session not even playing.
But then we wouldn't have found out how Frost is making mosaic build
It's not.
furniture for them.
Hold on.
This is
That
true.
wasn't sarcasm.
But is it?
That wasn't sarcasm.
If you time how long we spent of our session not talking about D&D stuff.
I know in our other campaign, there was one campaign, I think we accomplished like 30 minutes of an actual session, and the other 2.5 hours was off topic.
Yeah.
We are all
Probably. Yeah, probably. But again, that's why I say it's more like a podcast, but with D&D thrown in there as well.
Yeah.
Sprinkles like a dessert. Little bit of added sugar. It's nice.
So, Zion, as you cannot, or sorry, Frost, as you cannot send the notes to anyone else, would you like to continue reading Radal's diary out to everyone?
Yes, I'll continue. The creatures seemed to enjoy the violence, riling each other up. Drogath missed with his attack. The white Linian cast color spray, affecting two of the creatures and his Linian companion, blinding them. One of the blinded creatures lashes out, striking me by chance. I retaliate with a flame bolt, but miss in my rage. Totu lands a spirit flame at that goblin that attacked me, killing it instantly. A great improvement from when we first started traveling. The execution, however, leaves much to be desired. The scream had deafened me. As
And
my
where it gets complicated because I couldn't actually hear anything.
yeah,
Yeah,
as
so
my
Radal, obviously being the bat-like creature, has now been deafened, and this is I think really where the combat started to go a little bit downhill. Like, the first couple of misses were, you know, standard, basically. You sort of, you're going to miss every now and then, and if you're level 1, it is a bit more of a chance that you're going to miss, so to speak, depending on what you're going against. Now, they didn't have a particularly, I'm not going to share what the armor class was, but they didn't have a particularly high armor. However,
Oh no.
apparently it was more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be, as we're about to hear.
As my sight relies largely on my sense of hearing, I do not know for sure what happened in the rest of the fight. I found myself fallen to the ground. In a panic, I cast Thunder Wave. My companions have warned me never to use this again. I clamber
So,
back to my
I think there was maybe a couple of turns for other players between them falling prone and obviously casting Thunderwave. And I believe in those times, basically, there was 1 or 2 hits that landed. They did quite well, but most of them
yeah.
were. It was like the dice were cursed that session. I think pretty much everyone was rolling low.
Yeah.
Real.
Actually, what made Radel fall is that Zion had cost Grease,
Yep.
so he kind of made more than Radel fall.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
he himself also fell.
And the whole thing was Radel fell before casting Thunderwave, so originally they weren't going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Radel, it was like a reaction from Radel. They fell over and they're like, oh no, I'm really in trouble, so Thunderwave!
And they were also blind, I think that's also why.
No.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
deafened.
they were deafened, which
Oh, yeah, you were deafened, so then you were blind.
Yeah.
not fully, but yeah. Like, a lot of their sight
Uh-huh.
relies upon their hearing, I believe. But it's not like they can't see.
Yeah.
It's just not very well.
Real.
So, let us continue with the diary.
I clamber back to my feet and protect myself with my mage armor, drawing my dagger to ward off any who would approach me. As my deafness fades, I see Totu on the floor, dead. The
Yeah.
orc informed.
So, sorry, I keep interrupting points because I think these are points that we need to explain due to, obviously. So, Raidal's Thunderwave was extremely effective.
Yes.
But
And I am
because of
very squished.
the terms of Thunderwave, it obviously doesn't specify that it targets certain creatures. It's I believe an area effect.
Yes.
And because Totu, as they have said, is very squish, Totu died. And this was the first time we had been in combat. It was the second session we had played.
And
It was,
technically, the second day they were together.
yeah, the second day that they were on their adventure together. Although Totu and Radel had known each other beforehand, which I think is what made this a bit more like... It was gutting,
Shit.
because I remember for at least, like... Because I didn't realise until it happened, and then Totu was just like, yeah, I'm dead, I need to make death saving throws. And we were like... Well, I very much was like, what? After about 3 or 4 minutes, I was there just like, oh no. Like, I feel so bad. Like, oh, what have I done? And then there was another part of me that was also like, hang on a minute. It wasn't me. It wasn't it wasn't my fault. Like, it wasn't my monster that killed them.
Mhm.
No, it was me.
Yeah.
The worst part is Toto might have lived if they hadn't rolled 3 nat 1.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when it came to their death saving throws, as I said,
Hold on,
the
let me-
dice that day
let me
were
try and-
just... Yeah, the
Let me
dice
try
that
and
day were
find
just
what the
definitely
dice
cursed.
What's
Um,
Spring
Okay,
saying?
so
he's
I
trying to
just-
find where the
I just-
dice were.
I scrolled back, so the first death save was a 9. The second was a nat 1. And the third was an 8.
And
I
I have
think-
stated that it would need to be 10 or higher to be a success.
Am I seeing them? Oh no, I think maybe the 9 was like the save for Ray's Thunderwave. So instead, it was first a nat 1,
Yeah.
then an 8, and then a 6. Yay!
Yeah, because as all of this was unfolding, we were all just sat there, like, waiting, hoping that Totu would make the death saves. And, like, we would just be sat there and be like, oh my god, that was such a close call. I can't believe that happened, but we've made it through. And then they rolled a 1. And everyone was instantly like, oh shit, oh no. Because now they need to roll 3, like, 10 or aboves in a row. Or they've only got 2 other... You can only fail once more and then that's it, you're dead, kind of thing. Then they rolled their second, like, 9, was it?
Yeah.
And it's like, it It was under the 10, but it was so close.
It was like right there.
And then it was like everyone had been having turns in between this as well, and then it was the 8. And like I think throughout everyone's turns there was this creeping fear that each time there was a failed death save, there was this thing of just like, oh no, we're gonna lose one of our party members. Oh no. And then they made the final one, and yeah, it was an 8, and everyone was like, oh shit, that's it. You know, oh my god.
All I remember from that part is just there being complete silence for a full minute, which is quite hard considering the company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think everyone was so stunned by that. Like it was what, like, because I didn't even know what to say. Like I was there, and it was like, this is the second session, first like combat, and we've already lost a player. Like the rest of the party need to continue with what they need to do, but at the same time, oh shit.
Only me. Only.
It wasn't only you, that's the whole problem.
Shut up. I will take responsibility.
And I think for me as well is Zion was also really, really close to joining Totu.
Yeah,
I think so too.
because I know people kept attacking, but again, like the armor class wasn't ridiculously high, but everyone just kept missing, and it was always like one away, or like on the armor class, and obviously defending party wins. So
yeah,
when they were attacking, and it was like they rolled the same as the armor class, they lost that. But it was like a lot of it was very much like you know, by a hair's breadth, you just miss your target, or you know, it's like you graze the armor plating and you make a scratch or a dent, but you don't actually damage the creature.
Yeah,
It was annoying.
I think
something.
I think as well, Drogath was the only one who was like managing to hit them.
No.
Yeah,
No,
no.
I burnt one to ashes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I know
Totu
you burnt the
one.
first one, but I mean, like,
But I
out
think
of
the
everyone,
other
they hit
four-
the most.
I think they killed the other 4.
Correct.
Yeah. So it was their dice were doing fine, but for some reason, everyone else's just did not like them that session.
Yeah, no.
And most of us were using the bot.
Most of you were using the bot as well. Oh, it was just like the bot was not having it that day. Didn't we at one point contemplate trying to find another bot just to
We did,
take
because it wasn't
We
just
did.
me. Usually
did.
it's me that rolls low, but it was everyone this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, so Totu died.
Yay.
And it was, yeah.
It was very fun.
It was a thing.
It was, and then
it was very experience. Smile.
But yeah, so that was like that happened. Everyone was completely stunned by that, and I was so shocked. Even I was like, "What do I do now?" Like, I didn't even really know what to say, and then I was like, "Oh." But I think we finished the combat.
I have never heard the DM more speechless in my life.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a win.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. It, as I said, like it was just one of those things that it just. I really wasn't expecting it to happen, and I know Toto had taken some damage, and I know everyone else had taken a bit of damage, but it wasn't like loads. It was like a 1 here, a 2 there, maybe like a 3 at most, but nothing
I think
crazy.
the problem was yeah,
And then Thunderwave.
and then Thunderwave.
We've already agreed that that's not a spell we're going to be using again.
Probably.
I don't know if it was an instant or agreeal or Zion, Tior, and Drogath were just like, oh my god, you killed someone, don't ever use that spell. And Rador was just
No,
kind of
I
like,
think it was.
okay.
I think actually it would probably be Ray first, and then everyone else.
But it's the thing of Ray wouldn't have necessarily known that her spell had killed Hotu.
No,
Yeah.
no, that was made very, very clear to Ray.
Actually, in the last bit of the thing, it says, the orc informed me it was my doing. I was distraught, and I almost attacked him in rage. Tior vowed to bring Totu back, even if it cost him everything. It calmed me enough to regain my senses. Totu is more important. And that's the end of their day 2
Okay,
part of it.
so yeah, and I think at this point, everyone was then discussing going back to the city because there was a possibility, a glimmer of hope for Toad that he could be revived by a high enough level spellcaster. It would probably be expensive, but if they could find a high enough spellcaster, they could do it. And being as though I had not planned for Totu to die so early on, or for anyone to die so early on in the campaign, we essentially then discussed roughly whether this would be possible, and I was very much like, yes, I'm going to confirm that you will find the spellcaster. I'm not going to say how much it's going to cost you until you actually go and speak to them, but I will confirm that there will be a spellcaster in that city who is a high enough level to revive Totu.
I think what you said was that there was someone there that could revive Tozu, but it cost your all of his money.
I don't think it cost him all of his money. I said it cost a lot of your money, or it would be maybe all of it, depending on how much you've got. And I think it was pretty much most of it. Yeah, like. But yeah, then they went to. I believe that was when you guys then went to sleep around a body, like another bonfire of bodies. Or was that
Again,
might have been further in?
these
No.
notes are from Radal's perspective, so he didn't keep overly detailed notes past that point.
No, we didn't. We've only had 2 body piles that I remembered, and that wasn't until Totu was brought back. I think
Okay.
we literally, we took the horses and went back immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did as well, because you had the option to continue searching, because you'd have the option to continue your search through this like cellar. However, because you wanted Totu back, you went back to the city and you found someone who was able to revive Totu. I don't know how much exactly it cost. I just know that it was a fair amount.
The majority of Tior's money, basically.
Radel does have that written, but as Alyssa can read that, I'll let Alyssa read that. No, sorry, May.
Yeah, having 2 nicknames is confusing.
Yeah.
Can't relate.
You can change it yourself.
Yeah, no, it's just, it was easier at first because half the people knew me as Alyssa, but I actually preferred May. But
Okay.
that was confusing because one of the other people were also called May.
I just find it amusing that in the server, all of you've got your character names followed by your nickname, and mine is just all powerful DM. Like, there's no nickname
Real.
next to it or anything else. Like, that is just, I am the all-powerful DM. I'm nothing else. Yeah, so you went back, you got him revived. You then did you leave the horses when you went back the second time? Because you went back to the
Yes. No horses.
okay. And obviously, session 3 starts up after Radel had gone and done some investigation into a tunnel. I believe.
Yeah. No, not exactly.
Okay.
Like, I know exactly where we left off.
Didn't the session? I don't remember when this. Oh wait, but also a thing that you actually talked about live, then it was not. That was how the ESP worked. So if you want to redo that again.
Well, the X. Hang on, I didn't quite catch all of that. You sound really muffled today.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe that's
fragments.
because maybe that is because I'm not in my current usual setup.
Oh yeah, you're on
Maybe
shitty
that's
Wi-Fi
that.
Island.
Yeah. Well, it's not shitty Wi-Fi island anymore. We now have Wi-Fi on our house, and I don't have to go to a cafe every single day just to have Wi-Fi.
Ooh, get
So
you.
basically, what Spring said is this is around the point where we also started discussing XP and levels after Totu got revived.
Yes, because we have said that up until level 5, everyone is going to be sharing XP. So for any encounters, any like anything that would earn them XP, it's going to be like that much for all of them. So like if they earn 300 XP, they all get 300 XP. And then when we are at level 5 or over, people will still get XP for encounters. However, say the more you do within an encounter, or if you kill the creature, you will get a larger share of the XP.
Also, the lovely comment of Drogas that is currently not here, so I'll say it for him. Does Totu count as XP?
And we said no because that is just horrible.
I kind of found it funny, Morgan.
It wasn't amused. It's like, does Toto count for XP? And it's like, no. Like, I get why you're asking, but still, no. I feel like that might encourage an environment where people are, air quotes, accidentally killing each other in the party to try and level everyone up.
Come on,
Like,
guys,
oh yeah, you
remind
get
me,
like
3 more
300
times.
XP for killing Totu, and everyone's like, let's just secretly keep doing this.
Oh.
Like, I know you wouldn't, but I just, like, you know, it's like Zion, you get like 300 XP for killing everyone, and it's like, oh, okay, so let's just accidentally kill the rest of the party again.
I think something would break.
Yeah.
I do think
Also,
people would
I can
eventually
get
go a bit
to
crazy,
level.
but yeah, so no, yeah, it's joint XP for everyone up until level 5, and then from level 5 onwards, it's essentially the more you do, the like if you kill a creature, or the more harm you do to the creature, the more XP you get. I'm not specifically that like you're gonna be the only one earning the XP for it, because that seems a little harsh. But you will get more for the years and hopefully help people more into their roles and stuff. Obviously, you may also still gain XP of a decent amount if, say, like your character is a healer or something. and you are using healing magic during that interaction as well. So it is going to be based on how your character's doing the interaction, based around your
Oh
character.
no.
That
Very
reminds me
appreciate it.
of other thing. The reason why
What does that
everyone was panicking is because Totu is actually our healer.
Oh yeah, Totu is the group's healer
Yeah.
as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, because nobody else could
Yeah.
cast healing spells at this point.
Yeah, because you were all
Got
still
Totu.
level 1, I think.
Well, we
Yeah.
leveled up after that battle.
You did level up after that battle, but during that battle you were level 1. And so, yeah, Totu was the group's healer. He was the only one who had any type of healing magic. And everyone else in the group suddenly realised this when Totu died, and everyone was like, so, this is a really hard encounter, can anyone heal us? And Totu was like, I could have. Like, I could have done, I have these spells. And we were all sat there like, oh no, that's even worse. I think we only realised that a little bit after, because I remember there was that pause when Toto had died, and then a little bit after, everyone was just kind of like, shit, they were the healer. Like,
Yeah.
we are at that point screwed.
Uh-huh.
But it's okay, we got them revived.
Yes.
It was
Mostly
very
for
dramatic.
fun, but yes.
Depending on your preferences, viewers, this doesn't happen often. If it's different, this does happen often. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just
This is a thing,
Like,
and we don't
we are
mention
not
it.
that stupid. We are not that stupid.
It was
No
just the
comment.
dice between us and
Sometimes,
circumstances.
sometimes, mostly me.
Yes, Totu is the only person we've ever killed.
It's not
Aside
a
from
the way you
Drazia.
say it, like I'm literally here, like, the way you say that, have you killed someone else in your party? I don't think you have in this campaign, have you?
Not in this campaign.
Like, I don't remember
No.
this. I'm famous. Not in this campaign. Oh.
No, it was just on Downtown RP. That's why it's not mentioned. Don't worry about it.
We did not kill anyone.
Random.
We didn't kill anyone.
Oh dear.
Don't worry
Okay.
about it. It's fine. You have nothing to worry about. It's okay.
All right then. But anyway, so May, you know exactly where we left off at the end of session 2, I'm assuming.
Yeah, do we want to skip over the day 3 and get straight to the ending?
No, I would like. We want to cover kind of what happened in all of episode 2, so preferably not skipping any parts if possible. And I understand these notes are going to be from your point of view, and I don't think I have notes for day 3, so to speak. Or I do, but the notes I have are so short and like to the point of it that it would be, I might accidentally give spoilers because I don't know where it stopped.
Yeah, there in day 3 there is something from Totu's perspective, but since I'm not Totu, I don't have that written down.
Wait, there's something from my perspective? What?
Yeah, you had a whole separate scene to yourself, and I was like, oh, that's pretty. I want to write it down, but I can't because it's a diary.
I
Well,
don't
what was
remember
the scene?
anything.
Oh, it was
Does
when
anyone
Totu was
remember
being
that
revived.
scene?
Oh, it was the
Oh,
revival, yeah.
I don't remember.
It was really pretty.
I don't remember. I didn't make a note of what happened. I think because it was something I wasn't expecting to happen. I
think I was
didn't.
like in a sea of stars, just suspended peacefully.
You were just floating.
I think I don't remember very well. I was either floating or just in the surface of water. One of the two.
But I mean, the way that I would probably have done it is if it's how I'm thinking, then you would have been on the surface of water, but you didn't feel like you were being held up by anything. You literally felt weightless and like you were floating with a big like clear sky of stars above you that is reflected in the water in such a way to make it appear that you are floating among the stars themselves.
Yeah, that sounds right. That
And then
doesn't really sound bad.
what happened when you came? Because I'm sure something would have happened to bring you back.
Yeah.
Yes, the guy that we met that was the resurrector took us to a crypt, I think.
I haven't read that part out yet.
No, I
Yeah,
mean, as in like when
spoilers
you were
for me.
actually, yeah, like when you were actually being resurrected, like something happened that kind of like pulled you back into you. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
from Totu's perspective.
I
yeah, that's what I mean
I
from
think
Totu's perspective.
I think I think there was a literal voice uh, asking me
Oh,
if I want
yes. Was it
to come
one?
back.
Would it might have been one of the deities?
Yes, but we don't know that.
No, I know, but this is why I'm trying to figure it out so that I can kind of. It was
Oh
this
my god, wait,
deity
hold on.
who brought you back. It wouldn't have been Darvaza.
Sorry, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Wouldn't have been Nye. Was it? I don't think it would have been. Was it Alethea herself?
Uh, that is for you to figure out and to not tell us.
I don't
I-
think you told us the name. I think
Nope.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Well,
didn't
that's
tell us.
okay then. It doesn't matter. So you basically just heard a voice that was like, "It's not your time to go."
I think I don't remember that sentence. I think it was like
Probably phrased
you
I
differently.
do.
what?
You remember that sentence?
Not exactly that sentence, but I remember something similar enough to that sentence that I remember it. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense. Okay, sure. I don't remember, so sure, I'll take your word for it.
Excuse me for remembering the traumatizing death of a party member.
Yeah, right.
Excuse me for my fucking memory being stupid and garbage.
Okay, so
You're excused. You were dead.
Rachel, what do you have for day 3? Up to, or if day 3 was, during that session?
Yes, it was. Back in town, we were told of a wizard, the Nameless One. He was rumored to be found near the graveyard. As we approached the location, we saw a cloaked, hooded figure. Tior begged the man to help. He held out a skeletal hand and took 1,000 gold pieces from Tior. We
Yeah,
followed the figure further.
I was going to say a hefty price, 1,000 gold.
Yes, the rhyming.
The rhyming?
The cloaked figure, he liked rhyming, didn't he?
Ooh.
Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
was a
Remember?
fancy flowery thing.
I don't
Did he?
remember. I was
I'm now. Did he like say something then? I don't have notes of that. Oh my god.
Yeah, we kind of had to ask him for the price, and then he said some weird, fancy, rhymey, flowery stuff that basically said, "Oh, 1,000 gold." Except, again, Ray's traumatized and doesn't pay attention to the words.
And I don't have a note of the words either because I wasn't expecting this to happen.
Yes.
This was like, at this moment, that entire session had become ad lib.
We were
Unfortunately-
making this entire thing up as we went.
Yeah, but I was, because I really wasn't expecting it to happen. And so I was like, okay, but I need to make this seem like it's, you know, more elaborate than just a quick 2-minute, this is what's going to happen. I had to kind of like turn around and be like, yeah, no, so you have to go and find this person and you have to go and do this, and this is what they say. But I should have made a note of it and I didn't.
Yeah, I think Tior might have, or maybe Zion, one of the two talked to some people, and there were like rumors, and everyone said, "Oh, the graveyard, go find the nameless one."
Yeah. But he was, 1,000 gold.
So we followed the figure further into the graveyard, the light fading, reaching a dark crypt. Totu was carried down and laid down on a slab. I think Tior was still carrying Totu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Believe so, yeah.
Yeah, because Tior is, I think, there was a conversation about it, and eventually everyone was like, well, Tior is kind of like one of the strongest members to do so. Because I think there was also talk of like them taking off their armor, putting them on their back so they could get back quicker, and then everyone was like, oh no, we need to go as a group.
Yeah.
Just in case. After what's just happened, we don't really want to split up as a group.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, see if he was laid down.
The man rummaged around for a large diamond and held it above Totu. The diamond began glowing, turning, a small shimmering light forming in its center. The light flew into Totu. This is when Totu's scene happened, and then afterwards Totu wakes up. The man vanishes into a sudden fog. And afterwards we turned in the flower gathering quest for 20 gold while we were there before leaving town. But that's kind of like an afterthought because everyone was just kind of done
So hang
by
on.
that point.
So, okay. That's fine. So we turned in a flower quest. And the man had vanished. Did I say what colour the like fog was that he vanished into?
You said fog.
Okay. That is fine.
Like you might have said dark fog, but I just didn't take it down.
Yeah, I think I said it was like a deep look, like it was a deep coloured fog, but you couldn't make out due to the lack of light really what colour it was. But it wasn't like a grey, it was like a deep colour. Was that all for that session? Was that where it ended?
No, that was just day 3.
That was day 3.
So we left town and then kind of set up camp on the road.
Okay.
So day 4, as we had no horses, we made our way back to the ruins on foot. In the basement, we noticed a padlocked door. The strange buzz seemed to originate from behind this door. As there was no visible way of opening it, we looted the corpses of the goblins that had attacked us. I found 3 silver and a key that unlocked the door. We made our way down the long tunnel, a glow coming from the other end, and came across a room containing 8 goblins, including a lord and an oddly dressed one. Afterwards, we started discussing. I suggested using my newfound magic to investigate the buzzing, which seemed to come from the other side of the room down a corridor. Some suggestions made by the others. I offered to set the place on fire as a distraction. Totu didn't seem to like the idea much, though, and that's where we ended.
And that is where session 3 picks up.
Yeah, there was a whole thing afterwards about how, you can use downtime roleplay to discuss more ideas, except no one actually did.
Yeah, because I remember we came back to it, and I turned around and I was like, okay, so what were the ideas we had? And everyone was like, what do you mean ideas? And I was like, didn't you discuss it? And people were like, no. I was like, okay, so now we need to discuss what the ideas are. Because I think the start of the next episode does literally come in where it's like, so Drogath has just killed a bunch of goblins. You are still in this cave-like area. And that was when it began.
And you can watch it right now, Smile, because we're sorry.
Yeah, you'll
that's
be able to
your
go
episode.
straight from this to episode 3 because that's we're doing this because I lost episode 2.
And now
Yeah.
that everything is done, I can say the funny to cope with sad. The universe decided to just retcon my death. Yay! God damn it.
Even the universe didn't like that it happened.
I just didn't.
Exactly.
I mean, the reason I did it, I didn't think it was fair. Like, it just didn't. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to happen that early on, and I was kind of like, I don't want to lose Totu so early on. I want to see how they evolve and how they become in later sessions and how this plays out. And I was like, I can't just let them. Session 2, first time they've ever been in a fight. I can't just let them die like that. Or at least that's how I felt. I don't know if the rest of the party felt that way as well.
And
You could
that's
say
the story.
that Totu's race is for more than one reason then.
There
Wow.
was also jokes made about that. Yes, I remember them, Totu. You made one yourself.
Oh, I did? Oops.
But I specifically avoided saying the race name this time because I think it pops up in a later episode where we tell everybody.
I say it on the first session, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And that's the story of how I'm now babied by everyone in the party.
Well, not
Yay.
everyone.
You were already doing it before.
Yeah, now literally most of the time everyone, like, aside from instances that have occurred, everyone is very much just like, we must keep Totu safe. Like, we
Yeah.
cannot let Totu out of our sights, we cannot let Totu, on their own, we cannot just leave them. We have to be around them all the time to make sure they don't die again.
And I know Zion was very much Totu needs to stay with Rado all the time.
I swear.
And Ray was like, well, I'm the one that killed him.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, wasn't there also the skull? Like, I was little, so I should be put in like a limp thing to be safe. I think it was by her.
That was what?
I think Tior did say something like that, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't quite hear you. Spring.
Oh, it was. I think that Tior made a suggestion of like, because I was glowing, so a little candle light to a place where light goes, like a lamp, so I can be safe.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, that's where the little
What?
candle started.
Tio wanted
Yeah.
to turn you into a lantern.
Yes. Yeah, I do remember that happening because I was like, wait, what? Why?
And then the little candle has started.
Yep. So yeah, that's why they're now the little candle.
Love that. Alright. I disappear from existence. Very fitting
Right.
considering the session we're discussing. Bye bye.
Bye, Spring.
Bye. Huh. So that's the kind of session recap. So now we're just going to have a bit of a chat about the gods and deities quickly. So that they've got a little bit of extra background information on them, and obviously we can then sort of discuss a couple of other bits just as an additional content type thing, again to make up for the loss of episode 2. So I think we touched briefly on the fact that there is a pantheon of gods who were appointed by a singular goddess who essentially picked great adventurers of their time and made them gods and goddesses, creating the pantheon that this party have lived with throughout the Second Age. Now, these characters, like these gods, are based loosely off characters from another campaign that we play that isn't recorded. We did think about doing some recordings of it, but we are currently 2.5 years into that campaign, and so there would be a lot to recap for
A lot of
everything
it.
that has happened. And although we've got all of the notes for everything that's happened, how many pages is the notes for that campaign at the moment?
Uh,
Not entirely sure I remember exactly, but it was over 140. And that's just when I joined.
yeah,
And there were some questions before then as well. But at some point, who knows? We might release it as a book.
yeah.
We
I
we
would
could do
think so.
that.
We would definitely
Um,
have to band together all the note takers' notes and memory.
we would have to spend like a good probably 2 days, if not more, just
I have the first
trying to
draft.
make
You
sure we
lot can
have
turn it
everything.
into a book.
Who knows? Maybe one day.
And
So
I believe, and I believe the DM would also, for if he wants to do from the beginning of, it would have to be of when he started that game. He would have to figure out character deaths and
I
what
don't
happened
even
to
remember.
character.
But the issue is, I don't even remember all of it because that other campaign was born when COVID first hit, and it was
Yeah.
we had me and a group of friends played D&D in person, and unfortunately, when COVID hit, it made communication a bit more difficult, and we couldn't really like run the sessions very well. And so we kind of moved online, but then because it was online, it wasn't as engaging as it was when you were in like person. And sort of like other people's lives got in the way, and eventually we all kind of drifted apart. And I was still very much like, I still want to run a campaign. I still want to, have this as something I do. And so I sort of reached out, and I think slowly found one or two other people from random places or through other people that were like, yes, come join this campaign. And one of those was May.
Yeah. And I was actually Mosaic and I were actually brought in by an old person that was in the original part of the campaign. So
Yeah.
They were here first, but took a break, and that breaks when I joined.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But yes, going to the gods of this campaign. So there is Alethea, who is the goddess of all of creation. She is the reason that reality exists. It is said that once she was alone in non-existence, and a single tear was shed for herself. And from that tear, all life began. As the tear ran down her face and eventually just floated in nothingness, it slowly expanded and eventually became the galaxies and realities that exist around us today. So she is the person who appointed the other gods. She is like the pinpoint of creation. Then there is Extremum Terra, who is the ender of reality. Although they also existed within the nothingness, they had no physical form, and only once reality was born did they gain a physical appearance. As they watched reality develop and saw the joy and mostly the pain it had brought to Alethea, they realized and decided the only way that true peace could be found for both themselves and Alethea would be to bring an end to all of reality. So that's kind of like the light and dark of the world. Like, they're the two main big creators, I suppose, and destroyers of world. Then we have Fior. He is the leader of the pantheon of gods. Due to being a very famous hero in the first stage of creation, Alethea chose Fior to become the leader of the Council of Gods. They do not always act within the best interests of those who are mortal within the realities. However, they will always make this right if they realise they have done wrong. So they're like a leonine adventurer. I don't think any of our characters are aligned with Fior.
no.
We have Lunasa, which is Frost's other character that they play in the other campaign. This is one of the character-based gods. So Lunasa is the mother of gods. Although not actually the mother of all gods, Lunasa is considered their motherly guiding figure. She is the goddess of mothers and family, along with travellers. She was chosen after her sacrifice to protect a village of young children whose parents had been killed in a vicious attack by a rogue battalion of knights. So I think that's quite fitting. I don't actually know what your feedback on these gods and stuff are, because although I posted them, I never really discussed a lot of it with you. I was just like, here are your gods.
Well, no, you did ask for our opinions, and we gave them. I think we were all quite actually happy with what you'd done.
Yeah. And I was there with you helping brainstorm the gods, so I'm a little biased.
Oh yeah, you were. I remember because we were just sat there like, so for this campaign, I need gods. I am going to name them this, and this, and they are going to be like this. And you were just there like adding extra bits like, well, they have this as well. And I was like, yeah, yes, good idea. So, you know, as much as this is my creation as well, this is why I think it's great that everyone's helping so much, because it is, this whole thing is like our creation together. And I think that's the other reason why it's as fun as it is. Because it's not just like something I've done and I've gone, oh, you're now having to play through all of this. It's something where everyone has had their kind of like input in places. Or at least, again, that's how I feel.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Next god. This is Mosaic's other character. Obviously not as a god, but... So, Lissari, god of faith and protection. After becoming a member of the Church of Alethea in the First Age, Lissari learned of a plot to kill the head of the church. They spent their whole life working in the background to protect this leader, knowing and believing that their teachings were the word of the true creator. and sacrificed themselves not in search of fame, but in true selflessness to protect and shield the faith they believed in. Which I thought was, again, very fitting for Lasari.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Moaka, which is May's other character. Goddess of fortune and quests. At the start of their life, Moaka was a very selfish bird person. They accumulated vast wealth from many adventures they went on, along with deals both shady and normal. Towards the mid and end of their life, they realised that this wealth had not brought happiness as they expected, and so decided to begin a quest to distribute this wealth to any who would need it, allowing them a better standing in life. Unfortunately, they were unable to complete this quest within their life, and so were appointed as this goddess to try and complete their life's quest. So they bring fortune and they bring prosperity to those who need it. Then we have Nai, which is Totu's other character.
Spring.
Spring, yes. Apologies. God of healing and nature. Nai spent most of their life living in seclusion, meditating and experimenting with nature to try and find a perfect balance in a world that had none. One day, while meditating, they surpassed their physical body and were deemed worthy to become a god. Due to their still strong connection with nature, they decided to provide refuge for druids and others who felt strongly drawn towards nature. Which again, all of these were like, the way that we'd done them, they were so fitting of these characters that have been played previously, that it was very much like they are perfect.
Yeah.
Then we have Lula, who isn't in this campaign. The person who plays Lula may or may not be joining us in future. Obviously not as Lula, but as a new character. This is only a possibility at the moment, though. So it might be something that happens, might not be. We'll have to see how it plays out. But yes, we have Lula, who is goddess of the moon and wolves. Lula spent most of her nights staring into the sky at the two moons that hung there and longing to join them. She related to the wolves and their lifestyle in line with the moons and their phases, so much so that when her time came to pass, her spirit was lifted to the heavens, and she became the protector of the moons and the wolves with whom she had spent so many nights growing with. Then we have Darvaza. So he is the god of death and spirits/souls. As a young tiefling, Darvaza lost their parents, which led them on a journey to find everlasting life. Although they were unsuccessful in this quest, they did find many spells and potions which could elongate life, and some which could cure death. However, none were permanent, and so their quest continued until one day they themselves passed. Upon which time they were chosen as the god of death, knowing they would always act fairly when it came to those who had passed.
And two of our characters are actually aligned with Darvaza.
Yes, and yes, and also to go back to that, obviously we did explain in episode 1 that Totu as the character is aligned with Nai.
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Then we have Terry, goddess of war and strategy. Having been dealt an unfair hand in their last reality, Cherry was appointed a goddess in this one due to their expansive knowledge of war. Having witnessed all that it brings firsthand, she soon mastered strategy and tactical strategy. When she was removed from her previous reality, Alethea smiled brightly upon her knowledge, and not wanting it to go to waste made her a goddess. I think Drogath is aligned with Cherry.
I believe so. I believe that's what he said, yeah.
Then we have Aurelie, god of bards and music. Aurelie always had a flair for let's try that one again. Aurelie always had a flair for performance. Oh, that was difficult. And for making a song or tune out of pretty much anything. They spent years as a court musician and composer, even creating the most beautiful song ever heard. For this achievement, they were turned into a god so they could play for Alethea and all who wanted to listen. The Council of Gods can often be found enjoying Aurelie's music.
This god I find the funniest because it's kind of a running joke. Aurelie wasn't actually a bard; they were a
No, I
cleric.
know they weren't. They were a cleric, but for some reason, everyone. For a good couple of sessions, I thought they were a bard, and I think other people believed they were a bard as well. And then we learned that the actual person playing the character was like, no, they're a cleric, and we were like, oh, okay. And so when it came to making their god, I was like, I can't. I have to. Like, I've already got a cleric-y type of god. I need a god of bards and music, and I was like, Aurelie. So yeah, that was an ongoing joke that stuck. Then we have Persephone, who is actually based off a character I played in a different campaign. Goddess of water and seas, Persephone spent her whole life in the ocean observing the currents and tides. She would often be found with different types of water creatures just trying to befriend them. She became so well known to the aquatic life that she was selected to become a sigil for all those who were as aquatically inclined as she was. Being appointed the goddess of water and seas was never her aim, but it is a duty she takes very seriously. Then we have Elric, and I think Elric actually was a bard.
Yeah, they're actually the bard.
Which
From
is
that-
even funnier.
But Elric in this is god of skies and weather.
Yeah.
So Elric was the first person to properly study birds and other flying creatures. This study led them to become the first person to create powered flight, technically. Although not a stereotypical way of travel and not much faster than on foot, Elric was able to become the master of the skies, and through this they learned about the weather and what could cause this. After an unfortunate accident with one of their flying designs, Elric sadly passed and took his place among the gods. So you haven't come across any of these flying machines yet. And I'm not going to give you any further information on these flying machines until you come across them. But it is not stereotypical powered flight. Then we have
Okay.
Azeron. And Azeron is Drogath's
The Jorns.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drogath's character. I don't know what they want to be called online, so we'll have to wait and see for that one. But Azeron is actually a goddess because we had so many, like, I sat there and I was like, I want this to be as even as possible. I want there to be like this amount of gods, this amount of goddesses, because then it's a fair thing. So
Yeah.
Azeron is the goddess of parties and feasts. So due to being inherently wealthy, but noticing a huge divide within the classes of the First Age, Azeron would often put on a lavish party and feast for those who could not afford it themselves, often refusing invites from royalty and nobilities to put on the parties and feasts for others. Due to this nature, they were made the goddess of parties and feasts to aid those who could not always afford such luxuries. Which I think is quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have good old Brienne. Brienne actually comes from, I created them for like an NPC character server.
Yeah.
So there was this big D&D server where people were playing lots of different characters and everything, and I turned around to the person who was running it and I was like, can I just make a shopkeeper? Like, I don't want to go off adventuring. I don't want to go off on like massive quests. I just want to create a potion maker who runs a potion shop and often goes on little outings to find the ingredients he needs. So he can still do some combat things, but he's just a potion maker. They turned around and they said, yeah, that's fine. What do you want it to and I was like, I want it to be this little jolly halfling who's like just like empty potion bottles and half full potion bottles and like a bag full of like different plants, herbs, and whatever, and just this kind of like bit of jumbled potion, like you know how Ollivander's wand shop is from
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Almost like that with potions. And unfortunately, although it did kind of work, the people in the server didn't really go into the shop. They would just sort of like go off and do their adventures, and no one really thought about the shops and stuff. And then they came back to the market and they were like, "Oh, I'm just going to buy this," and everyone was like, "Yeah, that's fine." So unfortunately, it didn't take off. But then Brienne became Hia, the god of knowledge and crafts. So they spent their whole life traveling and learning new crafts from the best of all the tradespeople they could find. This in turn led them to look for knowledge, even if it was said to be lost. Due to this, they were selected to become a god so that they could share all knowledge with those who sought to find it. Then we have the last of the gods that we will be discussing in this session piece. They weren't actually a character from anywhere. I think we just kind of came up with this because we were like, we need an extra goddess to kind of balance things out. So we designed Vortrix, who is the goddess of time. They began to study time as they were intent on changing its flow to elongate seasons or shorten times of little wealth. This study and practice eventually led them to a point where they could operate outside of time, passing between it like a butterfly between flowers, until eventually they found they could no longer pass between time and were trapped. They waited patiently, watching from outside of time, until Alethea brought them back to regulate time properly. So that's the pantheon of gods that the characters have. Why is this taking so long? I'm waiting
What are you waiting for?
ages. I'm currently exporting the file, the audio
For
file
3.
for episode 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if I can do this a slightly quicker way. I need to change where this automatically exports.
As much as I would love to stay and listen, I need to go as well.
All right. Have a good night, May.
Have a
You
good
too.
night.
We'll learn more.
Okay. Do you think that's a good stopping point for the recording?
That is also another thing.
Yeah.
Just okay. I'd say that's probably a good point.
Okay. What happens if I press the button?